Welcome to the journey. I'm Julieann Hartman, and this is part 3 of the Tina Konkin story, which has been pretty amazing. If you have not watched episode 1 and 2, don't just come in the middle, be like watching a movie in the middle. You go from the beginning because you've got to listen to the whole story so that you can track with us now and to be where we are today, which is now we're going to actually talk about the affair. So Tina wrote a book. It's called How God Used the Other Woman. And that is on Amazon. You can go check that out and find it. You can also go to relationshiplifeline.org. That is her ministry, her marriage ministry. I know you do workshops. You do a lot of things, which is awesome to help couples, whether you're dating, whether you're not even dating, whether you're engaged, married for 5 years, 50 years, whatever it is, she can help you. So that's so great to know that there are people out there that have ministries like this that can help save marriages. So Tina, let's get into the actual, the affair part. So we know already as a recap, there were things in your marriage that, needed to be worked on. No, you didn't really even know what was wrong. You had never gotten to the root of a lot of your issues in life. So you are more of the, I don't know, the military person in the family. Your husband's more easygoing. And you were not able to be there emotionally for him. He was emotional for you. So what happened?
So what happened was it was 1997, and his mom was dying of cancer. So that's what started the roller coaster of emotions for him. He was never emotionally needy, which worked perfect for me because I wasn't nurturing. It didn't make me a cold person. I just wasn't the one that would grab his hand or go give him a hug. That was always his part. I always responded well, just wasn't an initiator, and didn't know he wanted that.
Did he ever tell you he wanted that? Did he tell you he needed that?
No, because it was always about, let's make mama happy. He really was that guy. Make the kids happy, make mom happy, make your world happy. And he felt he was, with his background, he really was the healing child of the family. Okay. He wasn't to be born. They had the children they were going to have, but their youngest baby died. And the doctor told the husband, Ron's father, she needs to have another baby. This pain is not going away. And so he was sort of born to heal the family. And that's really who he was. He was like a healing balm to everybody. It was, he never knew how to say no to anybody or anything. And that was a fault in the marriage too. That affected us in the marriage. That was not good because he was, available to everybody. And so I didn't ever feel special either because he treated me real special, but he treated everybody special.
Okay.
So, when you think about emotional needs and stuff, but he didn't have any. He wasn't used to taking. He was used to giving.
Right.
That love, and looking back again, we always talk about, what you saw, heard, and experienced. That was what he experienced growing up. He was healing for all his brothers and sisters and his mom and dad, and he was doted on, and but he didn't ever want, he didn't even know what it was like to be needy, right? So I never felt any pressure. I never felt like I needed to go get him a cup of coffee, but I didn't know that I was purposely not doing that, right? Based on the vows we talked about. So fast forward to affair. During that year, I became really militant. He was withdrawing. I'd never experienced that. He was not engaged with the family. It was around Christmas time now, and he was the big Christmas everything, and now it's like I could barely get him to help put up a tree, and he didn't want Christmas music on, and he was just not himself. And finally, I think I just said, look, quit avoiding here. You've got to go see your mom. His parents lived about 8-hour drive away from us, and he was just avoiding going. And I said, Ron, she's near death. Your sister called and you're making excuses why you can't go. And there's no excuse. It's not like we're working. It's the month of December. And I became very, and I remember packing a suitcase. I said, I booked you a flight, so go. You don't even have to drive. And I took him to the airport, and he goes, that's a bit presumptuous. And I said, no, you need to do what you need to do. So for me, again, how I grew up is some things are just obligation. You do it because you have to do it, not because you want to, not because you feel like it. And so I wasn't there in a nurturing way, but I remember when he was gone for those few days, I remember thinking he needs help, and I threw him into one of my close friend's arms. She had experienced death of parents. So I got them together. I said, you guys need, I asked her first, I said, can you talk to him? He's so disconnected from me, the kids, from everything. And she said, I can talk to him. And so you take vulnerability and opportunity and you got yourself an affair, right? He was vulnerable and she went back into vulnerability, re-experiencing the pain of her parents passing. Right.
So, how would they meet? They'd meet every day. They talk on the phone.
Just, we were all really close as families. Our families were friends. So we spent a lot of time together, even during the week, having dinners. We'd have family nights, we'd have date nights with the other couple, all that kind of stuff. And so I just kind of, said, hey, just get an opportunity. But then they started spending time on the phone. And that's where it really started. Okay. Right? Not our time together so much as the phone. Right. So of course I was happy.
During that year you were talking about when your husband was kind of pulling away, was it, so it was all really based on the mom being sick, or?
It's all on the mom. Okay. All on the mom. It was just sickness. He wasn't dealing with it well. He wasn't there. He didn't want to be there. He felt pressure from the family side. I think he felt like that kid again that needed to be the healing, for everybody. Like, why aren't you coming home? And we want you home. And, and he just felt he couldn't fill those shoes. And
so did you talk to him about,
sorry?
Were you able to communicate with him, not by just saying you need to go, but were you discussing things with him? No. Okay.
Not at all, because that vow that I won't nurture, when I saw that neediness, when I saw that depression in his eyes, when I saw him not being joy, and what made it worse, it was the Christmas season.
Yeah.
And Christmas at our house was always a big deal because of him.
Yeah.
Right. So that was, all odd too. So then we did go home we all went as a family to his parents' home for Christmas. And she died. So we watched her die all there as a family. And again, you know what? I was real busy in the kitchen, just staying away from the emotion of it. I wouldn't be in the room when they were crying. I didn't want to, I just was not around it. I used to always say, just don't do death. Just give me something to do. So I became the Martha, in the house. I started just preparing meals and doing this and taking care of kids and staying away from the emotion. I wasn't there for him, during that time. And she passed away the day after Christmas. We call it Boxing Day in Canada. She passed away the day after Christmas. And then I got right into planning the funeral, right into gathering things. I was at the computer, and guess what? That family that was really close to us drove up and stayed with us during that week of the funeral. And that's when they bonded.
Okay.
After the death. That's, so it was very short-lived. The husband picked up on the looks and he just picked up on it.
And he said something
I wasn't
about it.
He then, started investigating it more. And he overheard a phone call, and that's how it came out. And so he overheard a phone call that was inappropriate.
And now have they met in person as well, or just phone calls?
Yes. So it was on the phone, and then they did meet in person several times. There was only one physical encounter, and they got caught that very first time. He sort of expected it or saw it happening. And so there was no going back. And I think what happened for me at that time was I was still oblivious, but once he knew for sure it had happened, he came and told me, he called me, he told me, he said, I know. And I said, you're nuts. You're absolutely nuts. You're coming up with, stuff. I mean, yes, they talk. Yes, they can relate. Yes, they've been vulnerable. I mean, come on. His mom just died last week. And he goes, no, I know you don't want to face it, but now you're going to have to. And so he shared the phone call with me. And at that point it was 1 week later, but we came home after the funeral. And then after a week of being home, Ron went back to stay with his dad. And that's when the husband caught the inappropriate call, was while Ron was gone. And so I was home alone. So now I've got this reveal thing happening that this husband is telling me. So now I'm calling Ron. And I think the 3 worst words I've ever heard in my life was the answer to my question, is this true? And he responded and said, it is true.
Oh, gosh.
And those words just cut like it was crazy, 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 crazy. And I know this show doesn't have the time to really describe all the emotions I went through, but they were ugly. And I remember hanging up.
Oh no, we have time.
Okay.
Hear those.
So the next thing that I really share, especially with people that have experienced betrayal, I say these words: watch for God. Watch what he does in moments where you think your heart can't take it, where you think that's it, I'm destroyed, I'm done, it's over. In that moment, after he spoke those words, it is true, my doorbell rang. I was home alone. My doorbell rang. And I said, I gotta go, the doorbell's ringing. And he goes, why do you have to answer the door? And I said, because remember, we're trying to sell a car. I had put the car in the paper. I'd made an appointment the day before. I'd forgotten. Day before I knew about this nightmare, for this guy to come and see the car. And all of a sudden I look at my watch and I said, it's a guy wanting to buy the car. He goes, forget about it. Like, he's trying to keep me on the phone. I said, no, I gotta go. And I hung up the phone. And retrospect to that, looking back, how that moment saved me from saying all those things I would have said, all those feelings I had that didn't have time to, the shock, the anger, probably the swear words that would have come out, and everything else. I had that break of that moment. Now watch this on the spiritual side. Leaving my little office, my home office, that's where I made the call from to his home. There's 3 little steps that go down to the front door. And and it's a big front door. And I hear God's voice again. And it's, I was used to hearing his small stuff. It's more like a feeling, but it's like I can connect words to it. And he said, don't open that door. And I said, well, what am I going to do? He can see me. It was also a glass door, so the guy could see me at the top of the stairs. And he goes, if he walks out, that's on him. You will not kick him out. So now I knew it was about Ron. So everything I would have said, you're out of here, you're done, don't ever come home, I'll send your clothes to you. Like all the stuff that you normally would react in anger, God had already said, you are not going to open that door. That will not be you. If he walks out. And I'm like, so in that moment, I'd already got enough instruction that I knew that wasn't the answer. So now that prepared me for what was to come next. I didn't get that tantrum, though I used it once after that. But by that time, we both knew that we were on a journey of healing. But in that moment, it took that break. And I call that God's interruption. right? So now I'm dealing with a guy with a 16-year-old daughter that's coming to buy our old car, and he's all excited and he's talking about the nice weather and can we take it for a test drive? And now I'm like going nuts in my head. Right. And I'll go get the key and I'm trying to hold back, the tears. And I remember just coming back to the door, giving him a card. Then he comes back again, saying they love the car and it's all about the car. And I'm going, it's just a stupid car. It's gold. It drives. Do you want it or don't you? Let's not talk about the car. And him and this is interesting. Now I'm starting to see my kids. He's 16. The daughter is 16. And she's hugging her dad and all excited. He goes, honey, do you like it? Do you like it? And I'm seeing all this joy between father and daughter. And my daughter's 14 and loves her dad. And now I'm seeing the whole picture of how we can tell our kids. How all that unfolds in that moment. I'm watching that father-daughter moment. And I'm thinking that's all over for us. There never will be that father-daughter moment that I get to experience and watch. I will never see that. And so the mind goes so quick into the future, that again, because of that God moment that I wasn't allowed to hold that door open. But in my mind, it was, why do I have to kick him out? He's going to leave. I know him. There's no way he's going to stick around after what he's done, So that was sort of the platform of the reveal. And I don't know if you know this, but if you look at my web, if they see my website, everything is based on R3. And R3 is really what we developed as a relationship, what we do in that relationship workshop. And so the R1 is what I just described. That was the reveal. You cannot change or heal what you don't reveal. I couldn't have changed that vow. I couldn't have changed that not good enough in me that I treated my kids with and my husband with, had it not been revealed that it came from somewhere, and that root was there. So the reveal is really, if you don't acknowledge reality, if I wouldn't have acknowledged that affair and went into denial and pretended it never happened, there would have never been healing. And it would have just stayed as part of our relationship. And so the reveal part, but now, God wanted to take us into that second part. There needed to be a rewrite. You can't rewrite the affair. It happened. Right. That's reality. How are we going to rewrite our life moving forward? And it was after that phone call, I remember calling my pastors and saying, I'm in trouble. I need help. And they didn't live very far from us. And they go, we already heard. So the husband had already called them. And so they said, get over here, just get over here. And they spent all afternoon, all night with me. And I remember, again, the people, when you're healing from something that is hurting, reach out for help. If there's anything I can tell you, reach out for help, because high emotion produces low intelligence. Right? That God interruption at the top of the stairs interrupted high emotion. Those pastors that afternoon interrupted high emotion, right? And I remember the pastor's wife looking at me and she goes, Tina, we know Ron well. You know Ron well. You know the other woman. She's your friend. She's our friend. Neither one of them would have intentionally done this. And I said, but they did. Going to my anger place, but they did, and then I remember just looking at them and saying, how did this happen? And she said, Tina, I'm going to tell you something. They prayed with me. And then they said, I'm going to tell you what I'm really feeling in the spirit. I feel that Ron is in a trance. I said, a what? She said, a trance. He's gone into this place where it's not real, but it's soothing. We all know about his mom and how hard that was and how hard it still is and all that. And I said, well, he better come out of it, or I'll kill him, and then he won't have to worry about the trance. And she goes, I think you need to go there. I said, go to his dad's place? I said, are you nuts? And she goes, no, you need to be face to face so that he faces reality and you break that trance. And I'm going, this is not, I just wanted them to treat me like a victim, not tell me I needed to go be in the situation, you know,
Right.
or even face him. I said, you realize that even David killed Bathsheba's husband, right? You realize that, right? That's what I'll do. And then the pastor, it was so funny because the pastor had to chuckle at that. And he goes, I don't think that's how that story goes. Like, I don't think that's, and I said, well, whatever, somebody ended up dead, you know, and I said, you're trying to send me there. One of us is going to be dead. And, or he'll be dead, I'll be in jail, you know, and of course they're trying not to laugh, but I'm trying to break like what I'm feeling, and I am funny anyways, but I can't believe I actually said those things looking back. But again, that's breaking that reality that sometimes, you know, you've got to find something to just get a grip, you know, otherwise it's so dark. And I remember going home that night and I thought, God, if she's right, then God, I need Ron to give me permission to come up. I need not only for him to give me permission, but he has to want me to come up.
Right.
And so I made it that dreaded call, and I called him again, and his voice was really low. You could tell he'd been crying. And I said, Ron, I want to come up there. And no response. I said, did you hear me? I said, are you nodding right now? You know, even though I can't see him, we didn't have FaceTime. And he goes, yeah. And I said, I want you to let me come up there. He goes, well, I can't stop you. And I said, that's not the response I was looking for. I want you to give me permission. I want you to want me to come up there. And he said, why would you want to come up there? Why would you even want to come up here? Why would you want to see me right now? Why does anything about you ever want to see me again after what you've just heard? So I said, well, because I think we need to talk. We still have, 14 years of marriage behind us and our children, and what are we going to do next? He said, okay. So I got on a flight the next day, but something happened that night. Julieann, I know you're not unfamiliar, or pain is not unfamiliar to you. So you know what I'm going to say when I say, when you have that ugly cry and you've been crying for hours, and then suddenly you catch yourself in the mirror and you think, oh my God, is that what I look like? Well, that's what happened to me that morning when the alarm went off at 6 a.m. I got up, went to the bathroom, and all of a sudden I saw my face in the mirror. And it was ugly. It was, my eyes were puffed out. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if he sees me like this, for sure he's never going to want me again. This is it. And I remember getting close to the mirror and just trying to pat my face, and then all of a sudden anger hit. Remember my two safety, control and anger? All of a sudden anger hit with a vengeance. And I went, but I wasn't angry at anyone. I was angry at God, and I don't get angry. I talk to God real honest, but I've never had real reason to be angry at him. Right. But this time I'm angry, and I'm in the mirror and I'm looking at God. Like I think I'm looking at God, and I'm going, how could you let this happen? How could he? How could she, my friend? How could this happen? And where were you when all this was happening? And I was just having my moment of tantrum, like a 2-year-old with God. And now I start to cry again, but an ugly cry. I thought, I can't believe this. Then I start giving him our credentials. Can you imagine giving God your credentials? So do you know that we're counselors, Lord? We've been in ministry, and I'm recounting all the years I've been in ministry. Do you know what we do for you? Like, we counsel broken families. We help children that our parents are separating. Like, do you know that? We've helped people that have had infidelity. How could this happen to us? I felt like, the physician heal yourself type thing. And so here I am in the mirror giving God my credentials of what I do for him. So seriously, why was he sleeping on the job? I haven't been sleeping on the job. And I'm like ranting and raving. And all of a sudden, out of the mirror comes this still small voice that just says, can you stop crying? Stop crying. And then I hear the next words that changed my life.
Okay, stop there.
Okay.
Because we're out of time.
No, we're not.
We are. So if you want to hear what that next word was, you have to come to the next episode. I know this is like.
I am so sorry. You said I had lots of time to give all the details. I was trying to cut back.
No, we're giving all the details. Well, that just means we got to do another show. So we are going to sign off for now. You guys have got to come and watch next week because she's going to reveal the rest of it. We're not going past 4 episodes, I promise. But it's amazing. It's awesome. Thank you so much, Tina, for sharing your heart, sharing your deep, inner heart things that it's not easy to share. A lot of people don't want to share this kind of things. But I know that you have dedicated your life to helping people that were just like you. And so I know that's why you do it. So you guys go to healingjourneystoday.com, check out everything we have there. Look at the Eventbrite for our conference that's going on. That'll be October 28th and 29th in Jacksonville, Florida. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. We have so many things always coming up. That's why on Healing Journey Today, that's why you want to get to the newsletter so that you can see things that are happening before we even put them out there. So many great things that we're coming up with and that God is just moving us in all kinds of different directions. You can also go on healingjourneystoday.com and to get to be able to donate to help us out with making these shows, because we're doing this for you, to bring you all these stories so that you can be set free in whatever situation you're in, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all of those things, any kind of sickness or plague that has tried to hit your house, we are giving you an answer for, and that is Jesus. So if you would like to go pick up Tina's book, it's called How God Used the Other Woman. Please do. It's on Amazon. It's an amazing book. And also go to relationshiplifeline.org. Check out everything that she does, her ministry, because it could really help your marriage. It could help any situation that you're in with relationships. So I'll see you guys next week for the final episode of this story. Thank you so much. I love you, and we'll see you next time on the journey.